good, actually.
Understanding of the programme 16 months ago is false.
No, it's not false. Because you were putting forward their virtues, and now suddenly you're changing them. Why?
I'm not.
You were.
No, look, I'm not.
You are.
I'm not.
I'm not getting into this. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. But
Well, don't start it then. Because I've said to you about 6 times that I have not changed my tack, and all you have done is come back and said, yes, you have. Well, I haven't.
So why did you make such a play about how great they were then?
I just said we're not going to do this anymore. 6 times you have tempted me, and 6 times I have said, nay, get thee behind me. I have not ever said that Monty Python was any good. I hated it when I was a boy. Occasionally, Fawlty Towers was not particularly unfunny, mainly when the Colonel was in it.
Fawlty Towers is not Monty Python.
I know.
Fawlty Towers is something completely different, which was absolutely brilliant.
That's why it was, on occasion, slightly funny, because it carried, it contained the fundamental elements of classic farce. French.
All right, Tommy.
French farce.
I'll put my hands up and say,
You were wrong.
Yes, I will, yes, I'll...
Thank you. Free call 0500 1053 89. This programme is nothing if it is not consistent. Helen calls from Worcester. You're on Talk Radio. Helen, good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello.
Tommy, I love seeing married guys because my
husband
thinks
like a
Monty
sheep
Python is wonderful.
with a hat on
After
in the bathroom.
anywhere. He's
Especially-
driven me mad. He's made me think that there's something wrong with me, and I'm the one that's causing the marriage breakup because these things are funny and I find unbearable.
You sound as though you've swallowed a Jew's harp.
Sorry. Hello?
Hello?
Are you still there?
You sound like the computer in 2001.
I am really.
Can you say, oh, don't do that, Dave?
Hey.
Mate, thank you for your call. Free call 0500 1053 89. Dexter is on the line from Essex. Dexter, you are on Talk Radio.
Hello,
Good
Tommy,
afternoon.
how are you?
Monty Python, forget
What do
it.
you like knowing the Pythons?
Forget it, man.
No, it's just that type of humour. It's just appeals. It's not like the American one-liners, though, is it? It's just totally bizarre.
It isn't funny.
It is funny.
It can be, but lots of things are bizarre, but they're not funny.
No, it doesn't do anything.
The Millennium Dome is bizarre. Are you going to laugh at that?
No, but it's just, I don't know. They were doing something completely different. They did what Spike Milligan. They were taking over from Spike Milligan with, remember,
Anybody
X
can do
was
something
excellent.
totally different. It's not funny. It wasn't funny then and it isn't funny now. People like you laugh because everybody else is laughing. You don't know why you're
No, not
laughing.
at all.
Yes,
not
yes.
at all. I was in creases, and I just never... I remember I watched it when I was a little kid, about 13 or 14, never seen anything like it before.
That was the canned laughter.
Well, it might well have been, but
Yeah.
ever since I've loved it. And I know loads of people... A lot of people can't identify with it.
A load of people can't explain why they think they like it, and
But
you're
that's
one
the
of
good
them.
thing. It's just so out there. I mean, obviously they could be crap. There were the odd episodes where you thought, what the hell are they doing? And others where it'd be just completely superb.
All right, well, then give me a sketch then that's funny.
Oh, there were so many, Tommy. There
Well,
were
give me
bizarre.
one.
Upper Twitter of the year.
Upper class Twitter
Upper-
year.
that's right,
That wasn't funny.
Well, it was.
It wasn't, man. It simply wasn't funny. It was dull.
It wasn't done at all. What made you think it was dull?
Because I didn't laugh.
But then you could... I don't know, Tommy. It's obviously not your thing then.
You didn't laugh at it. You kind of went, look.
Oh, no, I didn't.
They're
Well, it
being
wasn't... I mean, I
slightly
didn't burst out in
Oh,
tears,
all
but
that
it was
impre-
in the laughter.
What impressed you was that they appeared to be doing something radical and bold.
Mm.
And, you know, when you're young, you kind of think, oh, I wish I could be that brave, taking the mickey out of the BBC generally.
Uh-huh.
You know, anti-establishment kind of thing. Ooh. You know, you kind of think you like...
Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you kind of like punk bands and, I'm brave, me, you know, I'm out there, I'm on the edge. And Monty Python was part of all of that.
Mm.
So you'd buy the record and you'd do that dance, you'd watch Monty Python, buy the video and laugh, but it's still just a knee-jerk thing. Bit of tribal bonding.
But what it's done, I mean, America have taken it over, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've tried to copy it.
No, they haven't tried to copy it.
Well, they were huge over there, weren't they? What was it when they went to
They
American Bowl? Was it, or-
weren't huge. Where have you heard that?
Oh, what was it? The bowl somewhere? I don't know. One of these big tours they did.
Oh, for goodness.
The Hollywood Bowl? Oh, they were huge
Do me
there.
a favour, the Osmonds filled that 10 times over. They hardly filled it once.
Well, they've tried to copy them ever since. And what have we got
Who's
now?
tried
We've
to
got
co-
one... Huh?
Who tried to copy the Pythons?
Oh, there's loads of comedians out there.
Who? Who? Name one.
I can't, Tommy. Not off the top of my head.
Spam. Hopeless. Free call 0500 1053 89. Tragic business. Chris calls from Berkshire. You're on Talk Radio. Chris, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tommy. I'd just like to say I agree with you. The series was, well, let's be honest, it was rubbish.
Wasn't
But The Search for the Holy Grail, I felt, was a different calibre. It was a one-off. It was a brilliant film.
It wasn't brilliant.
It was a great film.
It wasn't brilliant.
It was comedy at its greatest.
It was not comedy at its greatest.
It was British comedy showing its true colours.
Fuller's Holiday is comedy at its greatest. The General by Buster Keaton at its greatest. You know, a Night at the Opera. That's comedy at its greatest.
It's boring. It's boredom. A Night at the Opera, sitting there listening to some fat person singing on about a load of rubbish.
I'm sorry, we're talking about the Marx Brothers here, of course.
Oh, right,
You're a student of humour, are you?
Yeah, that's right.
It shows. It shows. It's good to sit at your knee. Oh. Now,
I'd just like to say as well that, you know, you were a great hero of mine when I was very young on Wackaday.
Yes.
Whatever happened?
What do you mean, whatever happened?
What happened to Wackaday? Why is it not with us now?
Well, nothing stays the same. I mean, didn't I get that point across?
Well...
What did I... People move on. Life changes.
True.
People develop.
True.
Should keep developing all their lives. Should put their Monty Python albums on the top shelf and leave them there.
Well...
Yes.
Maybe the series, yeah, but I have to say, The Holy Grail was a favourite of mine.
The Holy Grail was a succession of cheap jokes. People laughed because men were clacking coconut halves together and making the sound of horses. But that wasn't a piece of humour. That was because none of the Pythons could ride horses. It was found out when they arrived for day one of filming. And the director, Terry Jones, said, OK, Eric, up on that horse. And he said, I can't ride a horse. So they hit on this idea of him going along behind a fence, looking as though he was riding a horse, with the sound effects of the coconuts. And then somebody said, it's quite funny if we have the coconuts in the shot. And sure enough, all those dweebs, for 20 or 30 years, have giggled their heads off at what they consider to be high comedy. The only people who were really laughing with Monty Python was, of course, the Pythons, millionaires, all themselves, all the way to the bank. Maxine calls from Buckinghamshire, and we'll speak with her in just a moment. Maxine.
Hello, Tommy.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy. I am of the opinion that you are, that Monty Python wasn't overly funny at all, or not funny at all.
Nah.
I think in their own right, they had talent, but not together. I think they were trying to be clever, and I think the term they use now for something completely different summed it up. It was completely different and completely rubbish.
Yeah.
There was one sketch they did that made me laugh, and that was the spam sketch. Have you heard of the spam sketch?
Yeah, we've been sort of doing spam.
Yeah.
Spam.
No, I did find that titillating.
Nah.
Not hilarious, but titillating.
No, you put a bunch of Vikings in and something comedic like spam, and spam is funny.
Yeah.
Don't know why, but, you know.
It's a war, I think, Tommy.
It's the war.
Yeah.
And the idea of, spam with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but apart from that, not really.
Nah.
Now, I'll tell you a little story what happened when I was watching Monty Python as a child. We had the Ministry of Funny Walks. Do you remember that?
Silly walks, yeah.
Funny walks or whatever. Silly walks. Now, my dad proceeded to go down the high street doing a silly walk.
Oh, dear.
And coming up the other way was a man that had a disability.
With a leg, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, dear.
We laughed at him at first, and then when we saw this, we thought, oh, God, this isn't funny.
No.
Do you understand what I'm saying, Tommy?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. Monty Python was fundamentally cruel.
He was. Yes. And the other thing is those crap cartoons.
Yeah. Oh, they were awful.
They were bloody awful.
They were terrible.
Yeah. What was funny about a big foot coming down and squashing people?
Oh, they really were.
They were absolutely awful.
And they were designed to be there so that you'd laugh more at the actual comedy.
Yeah. Now, I'm thinking that people that have gone through this thing and think it's funny have been on a different plane to the rest of us, maybe on LSD in the 1970s or something else.
And Terry Gilliam, who did those cartoons, only managed to fool the rest of the planet so comprehensively that he's now a top Hollywood director. Yeah. Except that none of his films you'd ever want to see.
No, exactly.
Like, what's that one? The Witch... the one with Robin Williams and Jeff Bridges, I think, was in this thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a film you'd ever see.
No. Because
it was rubbish.
Yeah, they're operating on a different wavelength to us. definitely. And, I mean, okay, a lot of people say, well, yes, it was funny, but what is their idea of funny?
Have you seen Armando Iannucci?
No.
On Friday Night Armistice?
No, what's that?
Funny.
Is it?
That is funny.
What channel's that on?
I think it's on Beeb 2.
Yeah.
This guy, I promise you, I don't know, I don't think he's much of a writer, but
yeah,
his delivery, his performance
is,
it's red hot.
Yeah.
Red hot. The guy is going to be around for ages, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'll look into that then.
Do that.
I just can't see anything funny. I mean, in their own right, I like them. I love John Cleese. I think Fawlty Towers was absolutely brilliant. A masterpiece.
Yeah. But that was down to the writers, wasn't it?
Well, yes, possibly.
You know.
Mostly.
Yeah.
And who's the other one that does Round the World?
Michael Palin.
Michael Palin. And I think you have a load of, what do they call them, upper-class schoolboys together. They say, let's do something completely different. They did it. They conned us. That's
what it was. It was a bunch of upper-class public schoolboys all together. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Maxine, thank you for your call. Thank you for your support. The Monty Python lot are getting together again, and they're going to do some funny stuff, which won't be funny because they weren't funny last time round. There, we've said it. It's out in the open. It's great to be out of the closet on this one. Monty Python wasn't funny. Now, that doesn't mean you're a bad person, if that's what you think. Alan calls from the Wirral. You're on Talk Radio. Alan, good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy. One of the life's great mysteries to me, this one, is that you're right, it actually it isn't funny at all. Well, I was 12 when the series came out for the very first time, and it was definitely funny then.
No.
We all thought it was hilarious. The next day we talked about it at school. Yeah. But the point I wanted to make was, you're slightly older than me, and I had two older brothers who were I was 12, they would be about 14, 16, and they didn't think it was funny. And I think that's the point. It was actually aimed at 12-year-olds. And we thought it was absolutely hilarious because it was, it was different, and they were breaking new ground. And
yeah, you thought it was like
sort of thing that your parents didn't like.
That's it. That's exactly the point. Now you really touched on something there. I think we laughed at it, or thought we laughed at it. I didn't actually laugh out loud. I kind of went because our parents hated it.
That's right. Yeah.
So we loved it.
It's definitely not funny now.
Not funny.
It's absolutely stupid, and I don't know why I laughed.
And radical. Was it radical? Was it dangerous?
Yeah, well, it was, in a way.
Well, it was.
Because to a 12-year-old, it was.
Yeah, I know, but it wasn't really dangerous, was it?
Well...
Occasional jokes about...
It's like lavatory humour and...
The suggestion that the BBC is somehow a bureaucratic organisation. But I'm surprised they didn't end up in court for that one.
It was then hijacked by other people who thought it was funny and didn't really get the joke. And it's the same thing, as soon as I got a bit older, I remember watching it once, I must play that again. And just sitting there and going, well, a load of rot.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks for your call. Free call 0500 10 53 89. It's a huge bandwagon gathering momentum. Fantastic. I feel so liberated. What I'm always saying is that Monty Python wasn't, isn't, and never will be funny. Jimmy calls from Glasgow. You're on Talk Radio. Jimmy, good afternoon.
Hi, Tommy.
Jimmy.
I'm phoning about the Monty Python sketches, yeah? You can't possibly deny, if you've seen the sketch, the Killer Cars, that it's not amusing.
Oh.
Killer Cars, Tommy, come on. Killer Cars. See the way the cat's standing up in it? The drawings, that you've just been slagging off about 5 minutes ago. It's brilliant. Hello?
I think he does laugh. He probably does sort of laugh at it, this bloke. Yeah, funny, isn't it, Jimmy?
And Brazil, as well.
Oh!
Have you seen Brazil? That's a fine film.
Nothing
wrong with Brazil.
Hilarious film.
Yeah.
What's the best joke in Brazil?
Well, there's not really many jokes in it, really.
No, that's true, isn't it?
Testament to the destruction of hope.
Hilarious.
Film. Not particularly amusing, but not worth abusing either.
No.
I wouldn't have thought, if you were making that sort of money, you wouldn't be one to be abused for it, just for doing what you believed in, would you?
What a laugh. Lifts your spirits every time you think of it, doesn't it, Jimmy?
The Friday Night Armistice is not funny either. That Armando guy.
Yes?
Heavens to mercy, that man is not funny. He is a comedic cripple.
You just don't get it.
No, I get it. I like some of the jokes, like the sketches where they do outside, not involving him, basically, but his deliveries and stuff, he's terrible, man. So boring, so deadpan.
That man is look, that man...
He's a cretin.
...can stand alongside the likes of Woody Allen. Seriously.
Nah, no way.
The material that he does, okay, is based on current affairs and politics, based on what's happening today. He writes that just before he goes on.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, can you imagine how difficult that is? Everybody else who works in comedy these days has 25 writers, and he clearly doesn't. He does it himself.
Well, that doesn't mean that he gets away with being rubbish, though, just because he does it himself.
Yeah, but he's funny. You only have to hear the studio audience shrieking.
Yeah, well, then why isn't Monty Python funny if they've got an audience of 10?
They haven't got on. That was canned laughter.
So?
Well, you can tell the difference.
Well, why were they laughed at their stage shows that they went to, which many of which contained sketches which weren't funny, but I mean, they were laughed at.
Everybody knows that you get a bunch of people together and they all start laughing in the end. I
don't start laughing when they get together with a bunch of other people.
No, I think you could be telling the truth there.
Some people never forget Wackaday, by the way, Tommy. That was an amazing programme.
It was.
You should never forget Wackaday.
No. Nobody who ever saw it will. It was way ahead of its time.
You say people move on, but I mean, I'm still in the days of Wackaday.
Oh, they move on, but they never forget when they are touched by the...
Touched by the hand of greatness, Tommy.
Touched by the searing warmth of something immortal.
Yes.
Yes.
It only comes along once.
No, this is my third career.
Yes, well, yes. I mean, Wackaday was undoubtedly the highlight of it.
It certainly was. It certainly was. That's why you remember it so well.
Yeah, totally.
Acid test, really.
Nudge, nudge, good sketch.
Because I'm not sure whether you can remember what you had for lunch, but anyway, nice to talk to you.
Yeah, Tommy.
You haven't, no. No. Well, I must go. I could talk to you all day, but I must crack on. Is that all right?
Aye, that's no problem. Just wanted to let you know what I thought, basically.
Well, I think we've just about got it all.
Okay, cheers, Tommy.
Bye. Darren calls now from Preston. You're on Talk Radio, Darren. Good afternoon.
Hi, Tommy. I've got to agree with you. Monty Python isn't that funny.
No.
It can't be, because I've got a point to prove that.
Okay.
When President Clinton got inaugurated,
yes,
they used the Monty Python theme tune for him.
Yes.
And I had visions of a big foot coming down and squashing him.
Yes.
Da-dun, 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 da-dun.
Yes.
Could you imagine that?
Yes. Although, of course, in the United States, they don't call it the Monty Python theme tune.
What do they call it?
They call it what it's called, which is Liberty Bell.
Is it Liberty Bell?
Yes.
Well, I've just been liberated then.
Yes, you have, yes.
Okay, thanks, Tommy. I've got to go.
You have, haven't you, actually, yes. Yeah, the Monty Python dum-diddly-dum-di-dum-di-dee-dee-dee is kind of the American equivalent of Land of Hope and Glory, a kind of unofficial national anthem. Free call 0500 1053 89. The Pythons are getting back together again. And another thing, whilst we're talking about humour, they're just about to issue 5 commemorative stamps. Great British comedians, and they are the all-time greats. They are Eric Morecambe. They are Les Dawson. There's 4 other men, but you know what it's like these days? There's got to be a woman. So who do you think they chose? Who could they choose? You have to have a woman, because these days you have to have a woman. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. The jury has to be out on that, because it's patronising if you ask me. If there are no great women comedians, then there are just no great women comedians. So they left out Hancock so they could make room for Joyce Grenfell, who's way up there, isn't she? With, yeah. Free call 0500 1053 89. The Monty Pythons are getting back together again. They won't be funny, because they weren't funny before. Neil calls from Bedfordshire. You're on Talk Radio. Neil, good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy.
Neil.
Your conversation earlier with the gentleman about your show 60 months ago was very much a Monty Python sketch. I must congratulate you. It's very funny. And I can see through your wind-up. I think you're brilliant.
Well, if it was, it wasn't, Neil, if you see what I mean, if you're quick enough to follow.
I know what you mean. If it was...
It wasn't?
If it was a Python sketch, it wasn't.
And if
funny.
It wasn't, it was. Okay.
I was laughing anyway.
Right.
Well, when early, at the beginning of the show, you said Les Dennis was funny, you must be winding people up now.
Les Dennis is great.
No, he's not.
Yeah, Les Dennis makes me laugh.
No, isn't it brilliant how everything makes other people laugh? How we all laugh at different things.
Not everything makes other people laugh.
Oh, no, I said that wrong, didn't I?
Yes.
How we all laugh at different things.
We all laugh at different things. Well, we sort of do, unless we're an audience.
That's true, yeah.
Because when you're in a collective audience, you see, you all laugh at the same thing, and you all don't laugh at the same thing. And if the audience aren't laughing, nobody feels prepared to be the first person to laugh.
I must admit, I've never laughed at Les Dennis.
Well, you know, perhaps you haven't got much of a sense of humour.
Oh, I have. I think I have.
Well, who doesn't? Have you ever met anybody...
nobody admits...
Have you ever met anybody who said they had no sense of humour?
Well, people who know me say I have, so...
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't. Nobody says that.
Just because I don't like Les Dennis...
I worry about the company of people who say, my friends say I've got a great sense of humour.
No. Don't your friends say that about you?
No.
They don't say you're a miserable kid, do they?
You know, the opposite of not having a sense of humour is not being a miserable git.
I mean, they don't say it though, do they? Because you're not. You haven't got a sense of humour, Tommy.
The opposite of the opposite of having a sense of humour is somebody who thinks they've got a sense of humour, so is constantly hunting for a joke, a gag, and they are very tedious people.
Very funny. That is. Honestly. You do make me laugh. So I do love your show. I'm convinced you're winding people up. I'm convinced deep down you love Python, like most other people.
I've never lied. There is no cause to lie. Superman didn't lie. We don't lie. Paul calls from Gateshead. Paul, you can come out of the closet now.
Yeah, I've taken the Tommy Boyd show to actually come out.
There.
It was, the middle class took over comedy.
Yeah.
It went downhill from there.
Yeah.
I mean, the story with me was, I remember we had Rediffusion TV, but at the time, we couldn't get BBC Two. And it came on, and everybody was raving. Did he say, no, I'm sorry, we haven't got BBC Two. But we got it. It came on, and I remember a sketch. They were taking the Michael out of the Freemasons because of somebody was designing a big architectural building, and it was obviously the Freemason got the contract.
Yes.
But the people come through there, they slash the bits, then they put through
the rotating knives.
That. Yeah, you remember the rubbish that was on it, and I thought, well...
Oh, please, can I be a Mason?
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
No.
What am I doing?
What?
This was rubbish. Then the next day, talking about it at school, I got ridiculed.
Yeah.
Nah, you did.
I used to say, Dad, can I go to bed before this comes on? Yeah.
It was, well, I remember me dad putting it on. This is funny.
You and I know what it was like, don't we, Paul? It rhymes with Stadium of Light.
Probably, well, no, that's a good stadium, actually, you know what I mean? But,
did you see the documentary last night?
Fell asleep, unfortunately. That's how good suddenly, no. But no, I mean, this is fate as well. We won a competition, the wife and I, to go and see The Life of Brian.
Yeah.
But the film had been cancelled. Never mind.
Never mind.
So we got in to see another film anyway. I made a fuss. We got.
What did you see?
Hot dogs and hamburgers. We'll get it out on video. When it comes out on video, it was booked.
Yeah.
It was booked. Yeah, it came on the telly not so long ago. You know why we didn't see the pictures? You know why we didn't get to see it in the video? Because it was utter rubbish.
Yeah, it was.
It was fate. I wasn't supposed to see it.
No.
I mean, the sketches, like the woman said, the animation, we have it, that's not cartoons. It's not animation, it was sheer rubbish.
Paul, you made a very important point, and I want to throw it open. Thank you very much indeed for your call. It really was, wasn't it? Middle-class, public school, southern men. Southerners with all, yes. Who, had it not been for their accidental careers in comedy, would probably have been merchant bankers. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Heather calls from Middlesex. You're on Talk Radio. Heather, good afternoon.
Hi, Tommy. I've always been nervous about ringing you because you're always a bit aggressive, but I'm going to try it anyway. I think that Monty Python's an absolute insult to people's intelligence, and I don't think what anybody realised at the time that they were doing this was they were, without using the word, taking the pee out of all the people that are out there to make a good fast buck out of it.
Absolutely right.
It's caused an awful lot of problems. It's caused a lot of offence. I just can't believe that people will fall for it, and now they're going to fall for it all over again.
I think they will.
Yeah, and the kids, they were so afraid to go to school or go to work and say that they didn't like it.
Yeah.
Because it was a thing to do. It was like talking about which girls you'd been with the night before or the week before.
Enormous exercise in adolescent sycophancy, wasn't it?
Absolutely awful. But I mean, these are intelligent people. The ones that are involved, John Cleese, Michael Palin, they're intelligent people. And they knew exactly what they were doing.
Well, hence the sycophancy.
And it's plebs out there that are sort of listening to it and falling over and buying the videos and paying a fortune to go and watch them.
I think the audience were exercising their essential intellectual servility.
Well, it's absolutely pathetic, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
Good. I'm glad I agree with you on something anyway, Tommy.
Well, never mind.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit of a shame, really. I thought I might be able to phone up and have an argument with you one day.
I know that's what you'd rather do. Well, tune in tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I'm sure there'll be something you'll disagree with.
I'm sure there will be.
I'm sure there will be.
Thanks for the entertainment. It is a brilliant programme.
You're sweet. Entertainment. It's the news and current affairs debate forum. Entertainment? Not here. Sil calls from London. You're on Talk Radio. Sil, good afternoon.
Hello, Tommy.
Hello, Sil.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi. You're right wind up for a start. Why does everybody ring up seriously and talk to you and think that, like, you actually have a serious point of view, and when you're a complete nut to wind up?
I'm sorry, I can't answer a question whose fundamental premise is flawed.
Sorry?
I can't answer a question whose fundamental premise is flawed.
Okay, right, okay. Well, let's talk about then Monty Python. Are you there?
Oh, okay.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Okay, we'll talk about Monty Python then.
Okay.
Okay, Monty Python is, well, it's mildly amusing, I suppose, if you like that type of thing. But, like, basically, I think the only comedian that's ever...
Have you got the right number? This isn't the Samaritans.
Okay, yeah, right. I know you're right up. Listen, the only person who has ever really amused me as a comedian, I'll say it right in a minute, a comedian,
yes,
is Billy Connolly. I think he's absolutely brilliant.
I'm going to tell him that the next time I see him.
Oh, well, you know him, yeah?
I bumped into him from time to time. Sil, thank you very much indeed for your call. Not. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. There's a good argument for listening. Radio Solent. Ugh. Free call 0510 53 89. I'm sorry I was halfway through a conversation which I'll let you in on tomorrow.
Hello?
Paul!
Hello, Tommy.
You're on the A13.
That's right, yeah. Nice to speak with you. Yeah, first of all, I agree with you about Monty Python. I didn't find them funny, and I still don't. But I was wondering, do you think it's anything to do with the fact that they're not from working class backgrounds? They're all pretty privileged, middle class, and I can't think of anybody, apart from, say, Bob Monkhouse or Rowan Atkinson, that the last 50 years, who have made it to the top in comedy and are funny, that don't come from a working class background.
Well, Les Dawson, of course.
Well, he was working class, wasn't he?
Public school boy.
Les Dawson?
Les Dawson. Well, I say public school, I mean private school, boarding school.
Oh, was he really?
Yes.
I didn't realise that.
Jimmy Nail.
Jimmy Nail, was he from a privileged background?
Yes, real name something like James Fortescue Smythe. Changed his name to Nail. Yeah, but I take the gist of what you're saying.
Hold on a minute, I've just got to avoid this pig flying.
The gist of what you're saying, Paul. I think there's something in it, and it's always good to get a sociological angle on a conversation. I'm grateful.
And just, by the way, before you go, Tommy.
Okay.
I recently was given a tape of On the Buses. It had 3 episodes of On the Buses, and it's probably one of the funniest things I've seen. It's brilliant.
Funny.
Stephen Lewis.
Yes.
And Michael Robbins. Michael Robbins probably one of the most underrated comedy actors. Not comedians, but comedy actors.
Pat Coombs, I think, was in it, wasn't she?
No.
No, that was something else.
Doris Hare.
Yes, Doris Hare. Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her son Ginger.
Free call 0500 10 53 89. We're setting the record straight on Monty Python, and it's a very liberating experience. Quite exhilarating, really. There's no happier truth than when you're being truthful with yourself. Monty Python wasn't funny. They're getting back together again. What a nightmare it's going to be. All those flabby, balding men, well, what's left of them anyway? Trying to be funny, which they weren't in the first place. Free call 0500 10 53 89. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio. I can't think of one proper joke in Monty Python. I can't think of a decent joke in all the TV series and all the movies starring the Monty Python lot. And their sketches never had a punchline, ever. They just sort of finished, didn't they? And that old man crawling along in tatty clothes who would take ages to come up to you and say it's. Ha ha. Sean calls, he's on the M4, you're on Talk Radio, Sean.
Hi, Tommy. You must have had a really bad experience lately. You fundamentally changed. I remember about a year ago, maybe a little less, I was applying rouge to Claire Elaine's face. I'm her makeup assistant. And we were listening to your show, and in between patching up her face, she likes a lot of rouge, You were saying how we should celebrate Monty Python. You were saying what a testament they are to the piss take of like the minutiae of British life and the anal retentive Anglo-Saxon tiny little minds that we all have and that we all like to laugh at, and we like to laugh at our parents, obviously.
When you've got the radio on in the background, I don't expect you to listen properly, and clearly you didn't.
I haven't got the radio in the background.
I hope the radio wasn't on the background if you were making up a star. Who were you making up again?
Cleo Lane.
Cleo Lane?
Yes, and we both agree that your show was correct at the time, because Monty Python were that funny.
So
and they've got loads of jokes.
Let me get this straight. You're making up Cleo Lane.
Tommy, what about the joke where Michael Palin meets John Cleese in the park? John Cleese is the policeman. Michael Palin says, excuse me,
do you want to come back to my place?
I've lost my wallet. John Cleese goes, well, have you seen anyone around? Anyone looking a bit suspicious?
Yes.
Michael Palin goes, no, not really. And then John Cleese goes, well, there's very little we can do about that, sir.
Yes.
And then Michael Palin looks around.
And says...
And looks at his feet, and then he says, do
you want to come back to my place? Yes.
And then John Cleese looks around, rubs his leather-bound gloves together and says, you're all right then.
All right then.
That's class.
But it's not funny.
It's funny, that's class.
It's not funny.
What about the cheese shop? What about the cheese shop?
It isn't funny.
What about the cheese shop, Tommy?
And if I may, okay, the Michael Palin man is in a bowler hat, isn't he?
That's right.
Yeah, in other words, symbolising an upper middle class twit, which they were.
Well, that's what they were, so why not? That's what.
And the police officer was not a constable, if I remember correctly. It was a superintendent with a flat cap and a peaked cap. Am I right?
He wasn't wearing a proper cap, proper normal hat, that's right. He was wearing a superior cap.
In other words, he was a superintendent, at the very least.
Well, you can't escape your roots, can you?
That isn't the point. The reason you were fooled into laughing is because they utilised those motifs, which you have yourself a natural belligerence towards. That's easy. No. Anybody can do that. I can do that.
Well, that's clever then, isn't it?
No, it's not clever at all.
Wensleydale? Oh, hello?
What was John Cleese wearing in the cheese shop sketch?
Actually, I don't remember that one. On visual, anyway. I've heard it on tape.
A bowler hat. And pinstripe trousers. Same thing. Same easy trick.
These are their roots, Tommy. That's their roots.
No, sir. These are tricks. Monty Python...
No, you're wrong. They are their roots.
No, sir.
This is British Empire. They're having a laugh at the mind that's been reduced by that kind of class.
I mentioned that I was on my third career. My first career was as a comedian. I know what I'm talking about here. There are certain triggers which make people laugh, and
Where were you
cheating.
A comedian?
Well, all over. You don't work in the one place, do you?
Butlins?
Yes. Plenty of places.
Well, that's a comedian.
From Butlins through to the BBC. I was a hired, paid-up, full-time, funny person.
Did you get many laughs?
Yeah, the right amount.
The correct
You don't want too many.
People at Butlins will laugh at anything, Tommy.
No, they won't.
Yes, they will.
You should try it sometime.
People at Butlins are working-class scum. They laugh at anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but...
That's right, isn't it?
But you still got to make it happen. The point that I am making, right, is that Monty Python knew 5 or 6 symbols or triggers which would always make people laugh.
Agreed.
Men in bold... They
flogged them.
Do you remember the song they sang about the things that make us laugh? They told the audience what made them laugh. Fish, bananas...
Clever. Now that's clever.
Old pyjamas...
That's clever.
Buttocks, boils, and string. Those 5 things.
And they flogged them, didn't they?
To death.
Yeah, and that's clever.
And you
Tommy.
fell for it.
Tommy, that's clever. I've not heard that sketch, but that sounds clever to me.
Does Cleo Lane still listen to the show?
When she's not applying her rouge, yes, she does.
Who have you made up today?
I'm actually with Cleo Lane all the time. She's got me on a retainer. We've got industrial vats of rouge out in the back there.
Yeah, polyfiller, all that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
and
get her to ring in one day then, William.
Say that again?
Get her to ring in one day. I like the idea that...
She likes to scat, so I don't think she's not much good at conversation.
And you are?
Listen, I get by. and Tommy, I challenge you one thing. If Friedrich Nietzsche was alive today, he would like Monty Python.
If Nietzsche was alive today, he'd like this show.
He would.
Yeah, I know.
He would, I agree.
Sean, it's been nice talking to you. Thank you very much indeed for your call, but we must crack on. I kind of love that, like that image of Cleo Lane having her rouge put on by a makeup artiste whilst listening to the show and saying that she tends to agree with it. I don't know why. It's vain, I know, but I like it. I'll tell the wife about that when I come home tonight. Avril calls from Edinburgh. You're on Talk Radio. Avril.
Hello, Tommy.
Darling.
Chris Morris.
Yes?
He's the funniest.
He is?
He is. And Armando Iannucci writes for him.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm a great fan of Armando Iannucci. Chris Morris, comme ci, comme ça.
Well, he writes for him.
Yes.
Yes, I like him.
Who?
Chris Morris. And Armando Iannucci, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he does the Friday Night Armistice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are people who are getting laughs without comic props.
Mm-hmm.
Look, have I got news for you?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, very good.
Paul Merton with his comic prop look of surprised indignation.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever anybody says, Paul Merton gives his surprised, indignant look, and the audience fall about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's tedious, isn't it? And Angus Deaton. This week I have mostly been eating daffodils. And they fall about, because that's what he says every week. You know, it's cheating.
You think so?
I do.
You think so?
I do, whereas Chris Morris...
No, I just think they're very clever.
Yeah, but I mean...
Morris's radio program's very good.
Who, Chris Morris?
Yes. Radio 1.
Is he on Radio 1?
He started again. Yes, he was dumped before for being a bit controversial, but...
I read that they weren't going to allow any Radio 1 people on television because they were so pasty-faced. Did you read that?
No.
I read that. And Chris Morris is quite pasty-faced, isn't he?
He is, actually. Mind you, he's got a very strange face. He looks so different.
Yes.
He has this ability to look very, very different.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. He looks a bit like Michael Portillo to me. Doesn't he?
No, I don't think so.
Yes, he does. Now, I wonder if... No.
I don't think so.
Supposing Michael Portillo is moonlighting as a surreal, satirical comic.
You think so? Possibly.
Possibly.
Mm-hmm.
No. Avril, it's been nice talking to you.
Okay.
Thank you for your call.
Thank you, Tommy.
I look forward to talking with you tomorrow. I'm off now to find out what my team have got lined up for tomorrow's bill of fare. Stand by for Peter Dealey and Britain's fastest moving drive time. I'm Tommy Boyd. This is Talk Radio.
Good, actually.
Understanding of the programme 16 months ago is false.
No, it's not false. Because you were putting forward their virtues, and now suddenly you're changing them. Why?
I'm not.
You were.
No, look, I'm not.
You are.
I'm not.
I'm not getting into this. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. But
well, don't start it then. Because I've said to you about 6 times that I have not changed my tack, and all you have done is come back and said, yes, you have. Well, I haven't.
So why did you make such a play about how great they were then?
I just said we're not going to do this anymore. 6 times you have tempted me, and 6 times I have said, nay, get thee behind me. I have not ever said that Monty Python was any good. I hated it when I was a boy. Occasionally, Fawlty Towers was not particularly unfunny, mainly when the Colonel was in it.
Fawlty Towers is not Monty Python.
I know.
Fawlty Towers is something completely different, which was absolutely brilliant.
That's why it was, on occasion, slightly funny, because it it contained the fundamental elements of classic farce. French.
All right, Tommy. I'll put my hands up and say... You
were wrong.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will.
Thank you. Free call 0500 1053 89. This programme is nothing if it is not consistent. Helen calls from Worcester. You're on Talk Radio. Helen, good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello.
Tommy, I love being married guys because my
husband
thinks
like a sheep.
Yes. I was in creases, and I remember I watched it when I was a little kid, about 13 or 14, never seen anything like it before.
That was the canned laughter.
Well, it might well have been, but ever since I've loved it. And I know a lot of people can't identify with it.
A load of people can't explain why they think they like it, and you're one of them.
That's the good thing, it's just so out there. I mean, obviously they could be crap. There were the odd episodes where you thought, what the hell are they doing? And others where it'd be just completely superb.
All right, well, then give me a sketch, then, that's funny.
Oh, there were so many, Tommy.
Well, give me one.
Upper Twit of the Year.
Upper class Twit of the Year.
Right.
That wasn't funny.
Well, it was.
It wasn't, man. It simply wasn't funny. It was dull.
It wasn't dull at all. What made you think it was dull?
Because I didn't laugh.
But then you could... I don't know, Tommy. That's obviously not your thing, then.
You didn't laugh at it. You kind of went, look.
Oh, no, I didn't. Well, it wasn't... I mean, I didn't burst out in tears.
What impressed you was that they appeared to be doing something radical and bold.
Mm.
And, you know, when you're young, you kind of think, oh, I wish I could be that brave, taking the mickey out of the BBC generally.
Uh-huh.
You know, anti-establishment kind of thing. Ooh. You know, you kind of think you like...
Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, you kind of like punk bands and, I'm brave, me, you know, I'm out there, I'm on the edge. And Monty Python was part of all of that. So you'd buy the record and you'd do that dance. You'd watch Monty Python, buy the video, and laugh. But it's still just a knee-jerk thing. Racist.
It's boring. It's boredom. A night at the opera, sitting there listening to some fat person singing on about a load of rubbish.
I'm sorry, we're talking about the Marx Brothers here, of course.
Oh, right,
You're a student of humour, are you?
Yeah, that's right.
It shows. It shows. It's good to sit at your knee. Oh. Now,
I'd just like to say as well that, you know, you were a great hero of mine when I was very young on Wackaday.
Yes.
Whatever happened?
What do you mean, whatever happened?
What happened to Wackaday? Why is it not with us now?
Well, nothing stays the same. I mean, didn't I get that point across?
Well...
What did I... People move on. Life changes.
True.
People develop.
True.
Should keep developing all their lives. Should put their Monty Python albums on the top shelf and leave them there.
Well...
Yes.
Maybe the series, yeah, but I have to say, the Holy Grail was a favourite of mine.
The Holy Grail was a succession of cheap jokes. People laughed because men were clacking coconut halves together and making the sound of horses. But that wasn't a piece of humour. That was because none of the Pythons could ride horses. It was found out when they arrived for day one of filming. And the director, Terry Jones, said, OK, Eric, up on that horse. And he said, I can't ride a horse. So they hit on this idea of him going along behind a fence, looking as though he was riding a horse, with the sound effects of the coconut. Bit of tribal bonding.
But what it's done, I mean, America have taken it over, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've tried to copy it.
No, they haven't tried to copy it.
Well, they're huge over there, weren't they? What was it when they went to American Bowl?
They weren't huge. Where have you heard that?
Oh, what was it, the bowl somewhere? I don't know, one of these big tours they did.
Oh, for goodness.
The Hollywood Bowl? Oh, they were huge
Do me a favour, the Osmonds filled that 10 times over. They hardly filled it once.
Well, they've tried to copy them ever since. And what have we got now? We've got one...
Who tried to copy the Pythons?
Oh, there's loads of comedians out there.
Who? Who? Name one.
I can't, Tommy, not off the top of my head.
Spam. Hopeless. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Tragic business. Chris calls from Berkshire. You're on Talk Radio. Chris, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tommy. I'd just like to say I agree with you. The series was, well, let's be honest, it was rubbish. But The Search for the Holy Grail, I felt, was a different calibre. It was a one-off. It was a brilliant film.
It wasn't brilliant.
It was a great film.
It wasn't brilliant.
It was comedy at its greatest.
It was not comedy at its greatest.
It was British comedy showing its true colours.
Hullo's Holiday is comedy at its greatest. The General by Buster Keaton at its greatest. You know, a Night at the Opera. That's comedy at its greatest.
It's wonderful.
With a hat on. In the bathroom.
Anywhere. He's driven me mad. He's made me think that there's something wrong with me, and I'm the one that's causing the marriage breakup, because these things are funny and I find unbearable.
You sound as though you've swallowed a Jew's harp.
Sorry. Hello?
Hello?
Are you still there?
You sound like the computer in 2001.
I am, really.
Can you say, oh, don't do that, Dave?
Hey.
Mate, I'll give you a call. Free call 0500 10 53 89. Dexter is on the line from Essex. Dexter, you are on Talk Radio.
Hello, Tommy, how are you?
Monty Python, forget it.
What do you like knowing the Pythons?
Forget it, man.
No, it's just that type of humour. It just appeals. It's not like the American one-liners, though, is it? It's just totally bizarre.
It isn't funny.
It is funny.
It can be, but lots of things are bizarre, but they're not funny.
Well, that doesn't do anything.
The Millennium Dome is bizarre. Are you going to laugh at that?
No, but it's just, I don't know. They were doing something completely different. They did what Spike Milligan. They were taking over from Spike Milligan with, remember,
anybody can do something totally different. It's not funny. It wasn't funny then and isn't funny now. People like you laugh because everybody else is laughing. You don't know why you're laughing. Not at all.